the shot on your screen there. On the far left-hand side will be Max Curry from Hawthorn in the navy and white stripes, and you can see in the centre, just on the sort of far right of your picture there, the sculler in the yellow of Scotch Oakburn's Cameron Parker. Those two scullers doing battle for that direct route to the final. So no one taking their foot off the gas here, so it'll be interesting to compare the times to the last two heats. Our first two heats had very similar times, 7:23, 7:24, but relatively unchallenged for those two scullers. So these two are really going hammer and tongs to the line now, as the sculler from Tasmania, Cameron Parker, in the centre of the course there, really lifting the rate to respond to Hawthorn's Max Curry, who has led pretty much from the get-go, but never quite been able to break the contact here in the third heat of the under-21 men's single scull. Only one will progress through directly to the semi-final. It'll be the sculler from Victoria, Hawthorn's Max Curry, by 3/4 of a length ahead of Cameron Parker from Scotch Oakburn. We'll have to contest the repechage. Fremantle's Jacob Cassie in lane 4 there, across the line in third. Adelaide University's Arthur Drayton in lane 6, ahead of his clubmate James Williams in lane 7, who will cross the line 5th. William Wolf from Sydney University Boat Club over there on the far side of the course in 6th place, and a sculler from Toowong, Johan Tan, will round out this field in 7th.
So confirming the results of the third heat of the under-21 men's single scull, a win for Max Curry of Hawthorn Rowing Club, and he progresses directly through to the semi-final. Second, Cameron Parker, Scotch Oakburn. Third, Jacob Cassie from Mantle. Fourth, Arthur Drayton, Adelaide University Boat Club. Fifth, James Williams, Adelaide University Boat Club. And sixth, William Wolf from Sydney University Boat Club. And seventh, from Toowong, Johan Tan. The winning time, 7 minutes 24.71 seconds. Our fourth heat in the under-21 men's single scull, now in progress, sees Launceston Grammar in lane 2, represented by Augustine Sullivan Arkless. In lane 3 from Adelaide Rowing Club, Adam Holland. In lane 4 from Sydney University Boat Club, James Scott Brown. In lane 5 from UTS Haberfield Rowing Club, Harry Birchmore. In lane 6 from Sydney University Boat Club, Hayden Mounter. And in lane 7 from Adelaide University Boat Club, Jude Shermer.
Big Adam Holland from Adelaide Rowing Club there in pole position at the 1,000-metre mark, with a pretty handy 3.5 second lead on the competition. Adam got a bronze in the 23 single at the New South Wales State Championships, and now racing in the 21 single at this regatta. Be no surprise to see him leading. He's got a big old ergo on him, and did a great job getting the state championships in the jumping into the under-21 8 as well. So versatile athlete, and doing a great job here in this fourth heat of the under-21 single scull, and looking like he's going to make his week just that little bit easier by avoiding the repechage, as he really extends that lead. So it was 3.5 seconds at the 1,000-metre mark, and without some timing, I can tell you that that looks far greater than that as he approaches 1,500 metres road. But his nearest competition, that'll come in the form of Adelaide University's Jude Shermer on the near side of the course. Hayden Mounter from Sydney University just back in third. Harry Birchmore from UTS Haberfield in fourth, and James Scott Brown from Sydney University in fifth. Augustine Sullivan Arkless from Launceston Grammar on the far side of the course, just trailing the field a little bit as Adam Holland comes through the 1,500-metre mark. About 4 seconds clear of Jude Shermer from Adelaide University. So building on that lead, not quite walking away with things, but definitely looking like conserving a little bit of energy there at the head of the field. As Hayden Mounter from Sydney University comes through that 1,500-metre timing point, followed by Harry Birchmore from UTS Haberfield, James Scott Brown from Sydney Uni, and Augustine Sullivan Arkless from Launceston Grammar. So placings unchanged through that third timing point. You see the margins just get extended slightly in this fourth heat of the under-21 single scull. So as the third heat, the under-21 single scull draws to a conclusion. It's an all-the-way win for Adam Holland from Adelaide Rowing Club, who's keeping the rate up, but certainly going to be unchallenged there in the lead. 7:21.2, so a reasonably handy time in comparison to the other heats, and not challenged at all, as the second place sculler, Jude Shermer from Adelaide Uni, will cross the line and move through to the repechage. Hayden Mounter from Sydney University in third. And then we'll have two UTS Haberfield's Harry Birchmore from ahead of James Scott Brown from Sydney University, and Augustin Sullivan Arkless from Launceston.
And that concludes our fourth heat. So that's the under-21 men's single scull heat 4, a win for Adam Holland of Adelaide Rowing Club, and he will progress directly through to the semi-final. Going through to the repechage, in second, Adelaide University Boat Club Jude Shermer. In third, Sydney University Boat Club Hayden Mounter. In fourth, UTS Haberfield Harry Birchmore. In fifth, Sydney University Boat Club James Scott Brown. And in sixth, Launceston Grammar School Augustin Sullivan Arkless. The winning time 7 minutes 21.18. The fifth heat of 6. This time in lane 2. In lane 3, represented by ARC24. In lane 4, Adelaide University Boat Club's Jasper Boyce. In lane 5, University of Queensland Boat Club's Lennox Tune. And also from the University of Queensland Boat Club, Patrick Murphy in lane 6. And Adelaide University rounds out the field, this time Hugo Worm.
So fifth heat, well and truly underway through the into the third 500 metres, and Patrick Murphy from the University of Queensland with almost 4 seconds up on his nearest rival from Adelaide University. It's Jasper Boyce. His clubmate Hugo Worm in third place. Archie Critchell from Mercantile in fourth. Lennox Tune from Adelaide University of Queensland sitting back in fifth, and Beecher Ross from Adelaide University. A little bit off the pace there at that halfway point, but only one directly to the semi-final, and certainly looking to be Patrick Murphy from University of Queensland at this stage. Just extending that lead over Jasper Boyce from Adelaide University. So a good showing from Patrick Murphy. Last time out at the Regatta Centre. State champs, he didn't make the final of this event. So good improvement there to be leading this this fourth heat, and moving through to move directly through to the semi-final. So a lot of these athletes doing an ungodly amount of races throughout these 7 days, and just making things a little bit easier by avoiding having to do a repechage tomorrow, and repechages in events at the Australian Open Rowing Championships, as opposed to the School Rowing Championships, are sudden death. If you're not through to the semi-final, you are out. Schools Championships a little bit different, with there being CD semi-finals and finals all the way down to H finals we've had previously, but not the case in this event. Patrick Murphy from University of Queensland making his life a little bit easier, and just leading the two Adelaide University scullers down the course here. As into the red boys he goes, quite letting his foot off the gas, just seeing that a little bit of pressure from the Adelaide Uni sculler. to his right-hand side, but positions will most certainly remain unchanged in the closing stages of this 4th of 6 heats in the under-21 men's single scull.
Just crossing the line there, Mercantile's ARC24. I was just asking the question, isn't that the son of Jane Robinson, our wonderful athlete, coach and mentor in all forms of rowing? And indeed it was. University of Queensland's Lennox Tune crossing the line there and completing the roundup Adelaide University's Beecher Ross. So just confirming the results then in our fifth and penultimate heat of the under-21 men's single scull in a time of 7 minutes 28.64, a win for Patrick Murphy of the University of Queensland Boat Club, so he's through to the semi-final. And then the remainder to the repechage are Jasper Boyce from Adelaide University Boat Club, who's placed second. Third, Adelaide University Boat Club, Hugo Worm. Fourth, Mercantile Archie Critchell. Fifth, University of Queensland Boat Club, Lennox Tune. And sixth, Adelaide University Boat Club, Beecher Ross. And our final heat is underway in the under-21 men's single scull. In lane 2, Toowong, represented by Nicholas Barlow, coached by Mark Game. In lane 3, Corio Bay, Charles Rarden, coached by Lee Hall-Sullivan. In lane 4, from Sydney University of Boat Club, Alexander Page, coached by Pete Warne and Don McLaughlin. In lane 5, from Wendouree Ballarat, Joshua Matheson, coached by Sam Hutchison. In lane 6, from the University of Queensland Boat Club, Andrew Waitman, coached by David Waitman and Phil Burgagnon. And in lane 7, from Camden, the Queensland Academy of Sport, Chad Willett, coached by Scott Rowe. He'd have to be a favourite, wouldn't he? Although
I'd say so.
I'm not sure. Andrew Waitman looks like he's following in the footsteps of his father there.
Yeah, so just a second separating those two Queensland scullers, Chad Willett over this side in lane 7 and Andrew Waitman from University of Queensland in lane 6, who was just trailing by 1.05 of a second at the 1,000 metre mark. Chad Willett, an old boy of St Joseph's Nudgee, and won the schoolboy single at the National Championships last year pretty convincingly as well on that final day of rowing, and he's still just hanging on to that lead here in the final heat of the under-21 men's single scull, and Andrew Waitman really going with him, and Charles Rarden from Corio Bay making a little bit of a comeback to put some pressure on in the closing stages, but a lot of work to overcome at this point of the race. As we see at the 1,500 metre mark, Chad Willett just extending that lead ever so slightly, 1.94 seconds to Andrew Waitman. No changes in places in the third 500, but margins just extending slightly, with only a second between them, and a lot at stake being a well-earned day off. I would not imagine that Andrew Waitman from the University of Queensland is going to give up without a fight. So keep your eyes on this one as we come down towards the grandstand, the last 250 metres of the course now. You can see Andrew Waitman just starting to lift that rate of striking to put some pressure on our race leader, who has been leading from the get-go in this one, Chad Willett from Cairns, supported by the Queensland Academy of Sport and coached by Scott Rowe. Really starting to come under pressure now from Andrew Waitman, Queensland Academy of Sport, coached by David Waitman and Philip Burgenon. So it is far less than that now. We can see these two scullers as Chad Willett responds. He's really lifted the rate of striking there and putting some power into the water. There will have to be another gear for Andrew Waitman if he wants to respond to that one, as Chad Willett just looks over his right shoulder and checks where he goes. Andrew Waitman's going again. He's trying to look for that another gear. I don't know if he's found quite enough, but it's going to come right down to the line in the red, boys. The last heat of the under-21 men's single scull. Chad Willett has been leading from the start. He still leads by about a quarter of a length, and he'll find a little something extra as Andrew Waitman concedes second place in this heat. He'll have to row the repechage. Chad Willett for the win, Andrew Waitman from University of Queensland in second, Corio Bay's Charles Rarden a little bit off in third place, ahead of the sculler in lane 5 from Wendouree Ballarat, Joshua Matheson. Sydney University's Alexander Page will be in fifth place, and Toowong's Nicholas Barlow in sixth place. As I welcome Stuart John to the commentary box, and I'll be switching out for Ben Homer.
And thanks for that, Chris and Lizzie. An exciting finish there for the final heat of the men's under-21 single sculls. Chad Willett winning that one by 1.36 seconds, and then back another 11.6 seconds to Charles Rarden from Corio Bay. Joshua Matheson in fourth place, and then we have Joshua Matheson in fourth place. Then coming through in fifth, Alexander Page from Sydney University, with Toowong's Nicholas Barlow in sixth. So the winning time there for Chad Willett, that was a 7 minutes 10.49. And as I say, a winning margin of 1.36 seconds to second place, and then 11.61 to third, as we welcome Ben Homer to the commentary. And Ben, we're underway now for the first of our heats. It's the men's under-21 coxless pairs.
Thank you, Stuart. Great to be here back in Sydney. Fantastic venue for the Australian Rowing Championships. Now, I'll just run through the field of this Heat 1 of the under-21 men's coxless pair. So the first four here through to the semi-finals. We've seen in the singles it's been just the one, but four crews through to the semi-finals, the rest through to the repechage. So in lane 2 from the Uni of Queensland, Mitchell Owen and Finlay Harris, coached by Randall Martin and Peter Toon. In lane 3, also from the Uni of Queensland, Daniel and Matthew Cashman, coached by Randall Martin and Peter Toon. Melbourne Uni in lane 4, Nick Adkins and Amos Kirk. In lane 5, Commercials, John Morrissey and Jake Gilmore, coached by Stephen Pozzi. In lane 6, a Uni of Queensland QAS crew of Lex Tucker and Monty Martin, coached by Randall Martin. Tasmania University in lane 7, Jonathan Voss and Rowan Sanderson, coached by Andrew Palmer. And then in lane 8, Isaac Thurnham and Charlie Hine from Sydney Rowing Club, coached by Jonathan Check and Shane Mulvaney. So those are the crews here. Heat 1 of the under-21 men's coxless pair. First 4 to the semi-Stu, the rest to the repechage.
Yeah, and it was a very tight right at the top of the list. So the first 3 crews, so we had the University of Queensland QAS crew of Lex Tucker and Monty Martin sitting in first place, just over a second ahead of Daniel and Matthew Cashman, and then back to second again to, I think that was a Sydney crew. So just through the 1500 now, it is the University of Queensland, Lex Tucker and Monty Martin extending out their lead in the third 500 metres. They're a couple, 2.5 seconds ahead of Isaac Thurman and Charlie Hine from Sydney Rowing Club, and then Mitchell Owen and Finlay Harris in third place, another 3.8 seconds behind them. And then back to the Tasmanian University Commercial and Mercantile Melbourne University Composites. So conditions out there at the moment, it is quite warm, it is quite humid and very muggy. We are expecting a lot of wet conditions out here for the Australian Rowing Championships this week. It is about 22, 23 degrees at the moment. The humidity is starting to come down, but as you can see from the live stream, there are some grey clouds overhead, and we are expecting some of those to potentially burst a little bit later on today as well, and also throughout the week. So plenty of rain protection going to be needed, and it does make it just a little bit trickier to row.
Yep, just makes those oars just a little bit harder to handle when we do have that. And it's that painful rain, isn't it? It's not the strong downpour. Just sort of makes things a little bit slippery, Stuart. Good finish here, though, but it looks as though the first 4 are pretty clear cut.
Yeah, so we've got, that's the crew over there. It looks like Daniel and Matthew Cashman from the University of Queensland that are sitting ahead of Lex Tucker and Monty Martin. Not a lot to pick between the two of them, though. We do have Tucker and Martin maybe just now out in front, about half a boat length between the two University of Queensland crews through to the semi-final. Matthew Cashman. Third place going to Sydney Rowing Club's Isaac Thurman and Charlie Hine, with fourth place going to Mitchell Owen and Finlay Harris from the University of Queensland. So those 4 crews going through to the semi-finals. Going through to the repechage, it will be Jonathan Voss and Rowan Sanderson from Tasmania University. The it looks 6th place, and then back to the to the Melbourne University crew in lane number 4. So it looks to be a Mercantile Melbourne University crew just taking it very easy across the line there. Winning time for our crew, 6 minutes 48.09, and a winning margin there of 2.45 seconds, and then just under 2 seconds back to 3rd place and 3.5 seconds back to 4th. So under a little bit of pressure, that's the 2 University of Queensland crews, and you would imagine plenty of bragging rights on there going for there. So second heat is underway. We do have a couple of scratchings. So this is the second heat of the men's under-21 coxless pairs. Lane 2 is a scratching from Melbourne University. Lane 3 from Swan River Rowing Club, Harper Davies and Fergus McNamara, coached by Mark Beer. Lane 4 from UTS Haberfield, James O'Meara and Joe Lynch, coached by Matthias and Judith Ungamak. Lane 5 from Toowong Rowing Club, Joseph Petrie Repar and Cooper O'Rourke, coached by Mark Game. In lane 7, we have Max Henry and Jake Nesbitt from Adelaide University. They're coached by Sam Morton. Scratching in lane 7, and then lane 8 from Griffith University Surface Paradise and the University of Queensland, Joseph Tin and Benjamin Shuttlewood, and they're coached by Duncan Free, Christopher Holliday and Randall Martin.
So the 1,000 metre splits coming through, and Stuart, probably none. O'Meara, Joe in a time of 6:54.89. They actually beat the Cashmans by 0.07. So that probably gives you an indication that the further we go in this particular event, we're going to get some fantastic racing between those two. If there was 0.07 between them at state about 6 weeks on, you expect that to be pretty similar, and it will be some tight racing. But of course, they've got to get themselves through, and they're doing pretty nicely at the moment, leading the way through that first 1,000 metres. Adelaide Uni's Max Henry and Jake Nesbitt were in second, about 4.5 seconds further back. Then Swan River, Harper Davies and Fergus McNamara, and rounding out the top 4, Joseph Thin and Benjamin Shuttlewood from Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise and Uni of Queensland Composite. Gee, the Queenslanders are doing well, Stuart. I thought you'd be really a little bit more excited than you were in that first race. 3 through in that first heat. That's pretty good, isn't it?
Look, 3 Queenslanders through, but, you know, that's just a standard
thing. You're not getting excited because it's standard.
I think after the weekend NRL results, we just won't talk about the AFL. Through the 1,500 metres was that UTS Haberfield crew of O'Meara and Lynch, 7 seconds ahead of the crew from Swan River. Adelaide University sitting in 3rd place, that's Henry and Nesbitt, and then a bit of a gap back to the Griffith University Surface Paradise Composite. They're sitting in 4th place, and then back again to the Toowong crew. So at the moment it does look like our first 4. There's only 5 crews in this race, so 4 going through to the semi-finals, 1 going through to the repechage. So Toowong were sitting in 5th place, and there were 7 seconds to make up over the last 500 metres. So might just be a stretch too far, but certainly it's a good opportunity with these races, even if you are a fair bit back, just to make certain, even at the lower rates, make sure that everything's absolutely in order, get the technique right, and just get used to going down the course in that competitive environment.
Well, we'll have a look at the best comebacks over the course of the week, but I remember last year, I think it was, it won't leave my mind, the single from Patrick Burke. He was about 6 seconds, 7 seconds?
6 or 7 seconds
yeah,
back.
And he came back and won. So that was pretty impressive. He was from UTS, of course, from UTS Rowing Club, and you can see UTS leading the way here. This is the New South Wales champions in this event in the under-21 men's coxless pair. And, of course, New South Wales Rowing Championships usually brings the best from across the country as well. So expect a bit of a repeat of that in these Australian Rowing Championships. So it will be James O'Meara and Joe Lynch who are going to go straight through to the semi-finals. They're going to be joined by Swan River's Harper Davies and Fergus McNamara. Further back in third, also into the semis, Max Henry and Jake Nesbitt. They're from Adelaide University. And then out here on the near side is Griffith Uni Surface Paradise, Uni of Queensland Composite, Joseph Thin and Benjamin Shuttlewood. And they are going to be safely through to the semi-finals as well. So that means that Joseph Petrie Rapar and Cooper O'Rourke, they will have to go through the repechage.
Confirmation of the results: a win for UTS Haberfield, second placed Swan River, third to Adelaide University and fourth to the Griffith University Surface Paradise University of Queensland Composite, winning time of 6 minutes 57.41.
So we'll go back down now, under 21 men's coxless pair, and it is heat number 3. So this is the final heat of this event. So we'll have those 4 through to the semi-final from this as well. So 12 through, and then the remaining crews will have to fight for the remaining 4 spots in the repechage. So Falcon Palmer and Archie Stewart from Tasmania University in 2, coached by Andrew Palmer. 2 UTS crews in 3 and 4. In 3, Oliver St. Pierre and Joshua Wilson, coached by Matthias Ungermark and Judith Ungermark. Brandon Smith and Will Clubb in 4. They're also coached by Matthias and Judith Ungermark. Swan River from WA in 5. Matt McCarthy, Luke Porteous, coached by Neville Kempton. In 6 is Melbourne Uni, Tom Foley and Winston Hooper. In 7 is Fremantle, Austin Vincent and Oscar Lowry, coached by Kevin Neville. And in 8, Uni of Queensland, Lex Tucker and Monty Martin, coached by Randall Martin and Peter Turn.
Yeah, I think we've just got a scratching in lane. See them coming up now towards the 1,000-metre mark. But one point that I did want to make there, Ben, is that this we saw the 3 Queensland crews qualify in the first heat. We've seen the couple of New South Wales crews come through now. How exciting does this make this for the Youth 8s in the interstate on Sunday?
Oh, well, don't we love a bit of rivalry between New South Wales and Queensland? It's going to be absolutely fantastic. And I should mention, so Lex Tucker and Monty Martin, obviously bit of a draw. There was a little bit of a rearrange in the draw. They were, of course, in the first heat. They went through to the semi-finals in first place. So that was in that heat number 1. So scratched out of 3. So that means leaves us with 4 spots. Just looking from the wide view here down the course, it does look to be as though we could get a real battle here for 4th and 5th in this race. There's a crew further back in 6th. That looks to be the crew of Melbourne University in lane 6. Actually, that is Swan River. That's Swan River further back in 5. Then Melbourne Uni, they're in a real battle there. They look a little bit further up the course. They might be in 2nd place. Leading the way at the moment looks to be UTS Haberfield, and that is confirmed here at the 1,500 metre mark. So that is UTS Haberfield in lane 4. Brandon Smith and Will Clubb leading from Melbourne Uni. And this is where it's going to get a little tight here. UTS in 3rd, Fremantle in 4th, but only 3.5 seconds back, Tasmania University. How's the finish going to be here, Stuart? This is going to be a big test for them because they want to rest those legs. You don't want any extra races on day 1.
No, exactly right. So fascinating finish, as you say, Ben, coming up here just with those Youth 8s. So there's a few familiar names in both the New South Wales and Queensland crews. We've got Charlie Hine, Brandon Smith, Joshua Wilson, Oliver St. Pierre, Joe Lynch, Nicholas Whalen, Oscar Barigi and Alec Hoskin. We've mentioned quite a few of those names in these 3 heats. For Queensland, Samuel Forbes, Mitchell Owen, Finlay Harris, Chad Willett, Andrew Waitman, Daniel Cashman, Lex Tucker and Monty Martin. So very much what we've been seeing out here in these pairs heats, we're going to be seeing, well, throughout the week of the Australian Rowing Championships, but definitely on the last day when we go to the Interstate Championships.
So what's that, 2:40 on Sunday that will be?
So the Youth 8. So it'll be a very, very exciting race, I feel. It's not quite as exciting at the moment. Certainly our leaders, Brandon Smith and Will Clubb, looking very comfortable out in front from UTS. the Melbourne University crew of Tom Foley and Winston Hooper sitting in third place, but now just under a little bit of pressure from the second UTS crew, Oliver St. Pierre and Joshua Wilson. And you can hear the cheers coming from the crowd as they're trying to get their crews over the line. In the battle for fourth place, the final semi-final qualification position, Fremantle, Vincent and Lowry leading Tasmania University, Palmer and Stewart. It's going to be a win for Brandon Smith and Will Clubb. Second place will go to Melbourne University. Third going through to the second UTS crew, with fourth going to Fremantle Rowing Club. And then coming through in fifth will be Tasmania University, and then Swan River in sixth place. So Brandon Smith Will Clubb with the win. Second place going to Tom Foley and Winston Hooper from Melbourne University, with Oliver St. Pierre and Joshua Wilson from UTS Haberfield in third. The winning time there, 6 minutes 56.12, winning margin of 3.47 seconds to second and 3.47 seconds through to third.
23 women's singles rest through to the repechage by Duncan Free and Christopher Holliday in lane 3. Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise's Lindsay Calvert, coached by Christopher Holliday and Duncan Free. Adelaide Rowing Club in lane 4, Georgina Tager. In 5, Sydney Uni's Tiffany Botha, coached by Alfie Young and Alan Bennett. In 6, UTS Haberfield Sarah Fard, coached by Katie Healy. In 7, Toowong's Gabrielle Geldart, coached by Alex Field and Claire Raven. And then in lane 8, Tanika Webb, coached by Stefano Belosso from WA Rowing Club. So the good news is here, Stuart, I think from our perspective, from a neutral perspective, hopefully it allows for a little bit. You're not, right up there in that first place. You probably want to save your legs.
Yeah, exactly right. If you know that's where you're going to finish. And I think we're looking across here, and certainly there's 3 scullers all within about a boat length of each other. And in fact, there's probably about 5 that there's not too much of a gap in between them. So Sarah Fard from UTS in the lead, Danica Free from Griffith University in second, Lindsay Calvert also from Griffith University in third, Tiffany Botha from Sydney University in fourth, and then Adelaide's Georgina Tager in fifth place. And there's probably only about 5 seconds between first and fifth.
We're getting a good one here, Stuart. I'm rubbing my hands together. Here we go. I think we've got a good one.
It's going to get tight. Gabrielle Geldard from Toowong in sixth place. She's just under 7 seconds back from fifth. And then Tanika Webb from the West Australian Rowing Club in seventh place. So Danica Free was actually second place at the New South Wales Championships in the women's under-23 single sculls, and then she came third in the Queensland Championships in the open women's sculls. So certainly part of that very famous Free family up there at Griffith University Surfers Paradise, and sitting quite comfortably to qualify through to the semi-finals.
I was just having a little look there. So Eliza Bridgefoot, who won the New South Wales Championships in this event, she's coming in Heat 3. So certainly someone to look out for in this particular event, which is going to be fantastic in the under-23 women's single scull. Of course, just the heats. So we're building throughout the week up until the finals later on down the track. But as we said here, what was there, about 5 seconds between the first 5, if that, maybe 6 or 7. So this will be really instructive at the 1500 metre mark, just how tight it is. And it's looking like it is still just as tight, Stuart.
Yeah, and you want to make sure that you're getting those good results here in the heats. We heard Ray talk about a little bit earlier on today where, particularly if the weather conditions worsen, the better that you are, the better lane that you get if they have to redraw. And normally you'd be in the middle of the field if you came first. If the weather conditions mean that we do need to change, you will get the more favourable lane if you win. Sarah Fard is out in the lead, 2 seconds back to Lindsay Calvert. Tiffany Botha from Sydney University in third, another 2 seconds back, and then 0.24 of a second back to Danica Free. Georgina Tager from Adelaide just dropping off the pace a little bit through that third 500. She's 5.5 seconds back. And then we'll go back a little bit further to Gabrielle Geldard from Toowong Rowing Club and Tanika Webb from the West Australian Australian Rowing Club. So our first 4 looking reasonably set, but again, we saw it last year. You just spoke about it before, Ben, where we've got that 6-second gap that can be made up over 500 metres. The question is, though, do you go for it in the heat, knowing that you've got the repechage up your sleeve and knowing that you've got to go down that 2K?
At your max, or going through another 2K where you're probably going to make it through. It's going to be not too challenging. I'm not going to say any 2K row's hard, let's just say that, but let's just say it's not going to be as challenging as probably what the semi-final's going to be. Let's just say that.
There's no such thing as an easy 2K on the erg, on the water, anything like that. Unless you're being carried along by the Australian men's 8, I think it's always a very, very difficult one. But we're just seeing there our first 4 sitting quite nicely at the moment. So it's still Sarah Fard. She came 5th at the... A little bit of pressure now. Lindsay Calvert from Griffith University Championships. So the form guide being upended a little bit here. Tiffany Botha sitting in 3rd place. Danica Free probably about half a boat length back as they're coming in now towards the final 50 metres or so. Haberfield, coached by Katie Healy. She's led from the start and she'll be really pleased with that, coming across the line, and will take the heat win in heat number 1 of the women's under-23 single sculls. 2nd place with a big finish, Tiffany Botha from Sydney University, finishing half a boat length ahead of Lindsay Calvert from Griffith University Surfers Paradise. 4th to Danica Free also from Griffith University Surfers Paradise, with 5th place going to Georgina Tager from Adelaide Rowing Club. And then in the battle for 6th and 7th, Tanika Webb has rowed through Gabrielle Geldard. So Tanika Webb from the West Australian Rowing Club in 6th, and then Gabrielle Geldard from Toowong Rowing Club in 7th. Our winning time for Sarah Fard was an 8 minutes 1.02 and a winning margin of 4 seconds to 2nd, and then 1 second back to Lindsay Calvert in 3rd.
Heat 2 on the water. So in lane number 2, Tasmania University's Kate Oliver, coached by Sean Finlayson. In 3, Uni of Queensland's Ella Reedy. She's coached by Philip Bergeron and Michael Russell. Sydney Rowing Club's Grace Cypher, coached by Lachlan Carter and Florence Griffiths. In lane 5, Sydney University's Sophia Whiteman, and she's coached by Alfie Young and Alan Bennett. Phoebe Teal in 6 from Sydney University, coached by Alfie Young and Alan Bennett. And then in 7, Centenary's Jessica Malcolm, coached by Augustin Rodero and Benjamin Southwell. And Zoe McKellar in lane 8 has been scratched.
Yeah, so again, some real talents in this heat number 2 of the women's under-23 single sculls. Grace Cypher, the reigning New South Wales champion. And just through that first 1,000 metres, Grace in the lead ahead of Sophia Whiteman, then Jessica Malcolm, Ellie Reddy, Kate Oliver and Phoebe Teal in 6th place through the first 1,000. So Grace Cypher, I guess more known as a lightweight rower, and I guess now we've seen that the decision's been made to drop the lightweight events from the Olympics. What does that then do for the decision to be made for our lightweight rowers? Do they continue to row lightweight, or do they aim for the open weight, particularly those like Grace who are going for Australian selection, who are very, very quick?
Yeah, it's a real tough one, isn't it? And basically you got to work out what's your best weight, don't you? You got to work out what's your best power to weight, because it's easy to say, oh, well, you need to, do some bulking, but that might not be your ideal body weight. So it's whatever's perfect for you, I think, is the way that you go about it, because you can be light and very, very quick. We see the lightweight times it very, very quick. So, yeah.
It's like your power to rate ratio. Some people go faster at a much higher rate, and some people go faster at rate 30.
Exactly, and as we see here, Grace Cypher, she is leading the way through in Heat 2. I just chat to some sports people from other sports that have said to me that their perfect body weight is X kilos, and a coach said to them, you need to lose weight, you need to be leaner. But he said when he did do that you know, it affected him because he couldn't perform at the same level. So it's whatever body weight is perfect for you. I don't think there's any, you know, one size fits all. Yeah.
Well, the classic that I can think of, and it's not rowing, it was in cricket, but Inzamam Al-Haq from Pakistan, who was big. He was a big boy, and he lost some weight, went to a World Cup, did absolutely rubbish, put the weight back on, he went back to being a world beater. It's exactly as you say. It's what works for you. And I'll tell you what's working right now. Whatever Grace Cypher's doing, she just needs to keep doing it because she is out in front and looking very comfortable. There was a gap there of about 6 seconds between her and Sophia Whiteman from Sydney University through the 1500, and then back another 2.5 seconds to Jessica Malcolm from Centenary Rowing Club. So, and then University of Queensland's Ellie Reddy in 4th place. Only 2 seconds between 4th and 5th though. Kate Oliver from Tasmania University in 5th place, and then Phoebe Teal from Sydney University in 6th. So we'll wait and see on that battle for 4th and 5th, and it is starting to heat up just a little bit. We've got Kate Oliver making her move on Ellie Reddy, and is she able to make up about a boat length over the last 200 metres or so? Out in front though, Grace Cypher from Sydney Rowing Club, coached by Lachlan Carter and Florence Griffiths, one of the very talented Cypher sisters that we'll see throughout the regatta. But certainly doing very well here. We'll go through and take the heat win very, very easily. So a win there for Grace Cypher from Sydney Rowing Club. Going through in 2nd place will be Sophia Whiteman from Sydney University. And she'll finish 8.6 seconds back. Then in 3rd place, Jessica Malcolm from Centenary Rowing Club. And then in that battle for 4th, we saw Ellie Reddy, saw a bit of danger coming from Kate Oliver, put a little bit of the foot down. She'll go through in 4th place to the semi-final. Kate Oliver from Tasmania University in 5th place, and then Phoebe Teal from Sydney University in 6th. Our winning time for Grace Cypher, 7 minutes 58.58. And she never really let up at any point, just kept the foot down, kept the rating high, and a nice quick time there for Grace Cypher, 8.6 seconds ahead of Sophia Whiteman, and then Jessica Malcolm another 4 seconds back in 3rd.
It was 0.5 at the 1,000, that gap between Ella Reddy and Kate Oliver. So good expansion there, gets herself through to the semi-final. Here is the final heat now of the under-23 women's single scull. First 4 to the semi-finals. Bottom 3 to the repechage. Now this is what we're chatting about before. Eliza Bridgefoot from the University of Queensland QAS in lane 2. She's coached by Benjamin Southwell and Augustin Rodero. Now she won the New South Wales, she won this event in Queensland, but also in New South Wales as well, Stuart. So very good row. Looking forward to seeing how she performs in this heat. Lydia Tippett from Mersey, coached by David Tippett in 3. Melbourne Unis, Livia Razia from Victoria in 4. Brisbane and GPS QAS in 5. That's Hannah Kenway, coached by Benjamin Southwell and Augustin Rodero. In lane 6, Melbourne Unis, Romy Cantwell. And in 7, Daisy Manning from Tasmania University, coached by Peter Volker.
Yeah, and through the first 1,000 metres, it was Romy Cantwell from Melbourne University leading Eliza Bridgefoot by a couple of seconds. Hannah Kenway, 0.19 of a second back in 3rd, and then a bit of a gap to Livia Razia from Melbourne University in 4th, and then 20 seconds back to Lydia Tippett from Mersey and Daisy Manning from Tasmania University in 6th place. So it does look through the first 1,000 metres as though our first 4 are well settled. So I think we're in. This is going to be an interesting event to track over the next few days. The semi-finals we've seen around the country, particularly around second heat and doing that quite comfortably. We saw Sarah Fard from UTS Haberfield winning in the first heat, and time wasn't that much different. It was a 7:58 versus an 8:01. So I think we're in for some exciting racing in the women's under-23 singles.
Yeah, and we're getting a good look here at lane 6, which is Romy Cantwell from Melbourne University, who is leading Eliza Bridgefoot, but you never quite know in the heats who's foxing, who's just happy to go through in the first 4. Hannah Kenway in 3rd, Livia Razia in 4. It looks to be a bit of a gap back to 5th, so the top 4 look pretty sealed away here. They just need to get through the final 500 or so metres, and they will confirm their place in the semi-finals, how desperate are you for a middle lane? That's really the question at this point in the semi-finals. Now, being here at Cirque compared to last year when we were in Perth, I've got to be careful what I say, Stuart, but it was interesting conditions, and obviously there was more advantage going through as first or second, so you got yourself a better lane to avoid some of the wind.
Yeah, the wind was very strong over in Perth, but that can happen absolutely anywhere. So it's the conditions, the wind is expected to be okay for the week. It's mostly the rain that we're going to be having to deal with, and also too the rain and then the humidity as well. So it is important, even though the temperatures aren't actually all that high, that you do make sure that you are as hydrated as possible before you head out on the lake for your race. And also make sure that you've got plenty in there. Livia Rosea from Melbourne University. In fact, we've got Romy Cantwell, from Melbourne University out in front.
And she's just sneaking up, isn't she, Romy Cantwell? She's just been ahead the whole way. Can she keep the advantage?
Well, Eliza Bridgefoot from University of Queensland has started to put the foot down, and has she managed to get her bow ball out in front? We're just seeing a little bit of a push now from Romy, making sure that she tries to go through in that favoured lane, and looking out to her right-hand side. A couple of big strokes towards the end, and it is going to be a heat win for Romy Cantwell from Melbourne University. Second to Eliza Bridgefoot from the University of Queensland. Third going to Hannah Kenway from Brisbane and GPS, with fourth going to Livia Rosea. So our top four reasonably close together. Winning time of 7 minutes 59.39, 2.12 through to second, 2.93 in third, back to Hannah Kenway in third. Then we've got a bit of a gap in the back to our fifth place sculler. So that will be Lydia Tippett from Mersey Rowing Club, and she's just coming up towards the line now. She's coached by David Tippett, and I think we'll see Lydia Tippett in the Queen's Cup for Tasmania. Great to see a Queen's Cup crew for the Island State on Sunday. And then Daisy Manning from Tasmania University will come through in sixth place. So our final couple of crews just crossing the line now. Just a reminder, they are from the University of Queensland. First four through to the semi-final in the under-23 women's single sculls, a winning time of 7 minutes 59.39.
Alrighty, so under-23 men's single scull. We're getting close to the lunch break here on day one of the Australian Rowing Championships in Sydney here in 2024. So we've got the under-23 men's single, then we've got the open women's, and then the open men's, and then we'll be having lunch at about 12:15. So some good racing to come here before the lunch break. And this is heat number one. So first four through to the semi-final. In two, coached by Matthias and Judith Ungermark. In three, Adelaide University's Nick Blackman, coached by Nicholas Mitchell, Christine McLaren and Sam Morton. In four, Toowong's Henry McCluskey, coached by Mark Game. In five, Mercantile's Dom Frederico. In six, Toowong's Mitchell Bridge, coached by Mark Game. In seven, Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise, Josh Weiss, coached by Anthony Cook. And in lane 8, Moss Murphy from Toowong Rowing Club, also coached by Mark Game. And we are getting through some splits here. You may not have them on screen, but we can tell you that Henry Blackwell has gone through the 1500 in 5:24.25. And then Mercantile's Dom Frederico in second, Nick Blackman in third, and Mitchell Bridge in fourth place. And then Moss Murphy in fifth. So almost a 10-second gap back to fifth place. So looks pretty clear-cut, the top four.
Yeah, and Henry Blackwell will be looking to get one over Nick Blackman at the New South Wales Championships. We had Nick Blackman winning by about 5 seconds in the men's under-23 singles. So Henry Blackwell was in second, and then Adam Holland from Adelaide Rowing Club in third place in that event. So, but out in front at the moment, it is Henry Blackwell from UTS Haberfield, Dom Frederico in second, Nick Blackman in third, then Mitchell Bridge, Moss Murphy, Josh Weiss and Henry McCluskey coming in now towards the final 500 metres. So as you say, Ben, first 4 looking comfortable. And you can see on the screen at the moment that there's a couple of boats in there. So Dom Frederico from Mercantile looking like he may even have just taken the lead a bit now and moving ahead of Henry Blackwell from UTS Haberfield.
Well, he's certainly lifted, hasn't he? Henry Blackwell. He's put down some powerful strokes. He's certainly him and Dom Frederico from Merck.
Had the pillar, the commentary box in the way. But Henry Blackwell from UTS, a strong heat win for him. He'll have some nice clear water between himself and the chasing pack. So a win for Henry Blackwell. Coming through in second place will be Dom Frederico from Mercantile, just lowering that rating, making sure he's getting plenty of good run on the boat as he crossed the line. Third place goes to Nick Blackman from Adelaide University. And then coming through in fourth to also qualify for the semi-finals in the men's under-23 singles will be Mitchell Bridge from Toowong Rowing Club. Coming through in fifth place, we're just seeing Moss Murphy now come across the line for the Toowong Rowing Club, with Josh Weiss from Griffith University Surfers Paradise coming through in sixth, and then Henry McCluskey from Toowong Rowing Club in seventh place. So Blackwell, Frederico, Blackman and Bridge, our top 4 going through to the semi-finals, with the rest going through to the repechage. Winning time in that heat was 7 minutes 14.76 and a margin of 8.57 seconds, and then 3.99 seconds back to third. Heat number 2 is underway. The men's under-23 single sculls, again first 4 through to the semi-final, with the rest through to the repechage. Lane 2 from Penrith Rowing Club, Bradley Moran. Arsenal, coached by Christopher Holliday and Duncan Free. Lane 4 from Penrith Rowing Club, Liam Taylor, coached by Lindsay Callahan. Lane 5 from the West Australian Rowing Club, Blake Wyatt, coached by Stefano Belosso. Lane 6 from Toowong Rowing Club, Roden Martin, coached by Mark Game. In Lane 7 from Wendouree Ballarat, we have William Gilbert, coached by Jamie McDonald. And Lane 8 from North Esk Rowing Club, Carl Breer, coached by Trevor Barrett.
So just having a look at that New South Wales Rowing Championships under-23 men's single. So Blake Wyatt 5th in that final, which is pretty impressive. He won the club men's double at the Australian Rowing Championships last year with Sam Tolan from WA Rowing Club. So he's had a very good year. He is leading the way here halfway through, 3:40.75. Liam Taylor in second, Ben Horsnell third, Carl Breyer in fourth, but William Gilbert is only 0.44 back in fifth place. That's at the halfway point. Then Bradley Moran. So Moran, also from Penrith Rowing Club, he and Liam Taylor rode the double together. So they're both turned out in the same heat. It doesn't often happen, do you? You see the same club when there's only 2 clubs in the event. So a rarity in the under-23 men's single scull. So first 4 through to the semis, and we're going to get a really good indication here as we reach the 1500 metre mark.
Yeah, so it's not a lot to pick between our leading 5 scullers at the moment. So Carl Breyer from North Esk, we've got Wendouree Ballarat's William Gilbert, also got Blake Wyatt, as you mentioned, from the West Australian Rowing Club, and Liam Taylor from Penrith Rowing Club, and Horsnell from Griffith University Surfers Paradise. So it's going to be an interesting finish here, and in fact it does look like we may have something going on down towards the 1,000 metres, so we'll keep an eye out on that. We did see the rescue boat going across, and one of the scullers looking like they may just be heading off the course. So we'll keep an eye out on that one. Through the 1500, Blake Wyatt still in the lead, a couple of seconds ahead of Liam Taylor. Carl Breyer sitting in third place ahead of Ben Horsnell. And then it's only a couple of seconds between Ben Horsnell in fourth place and William Gilbert in fifth. Bradley Moran sitting in sixth place.
It looks like Roden Martin from Toowong Rowing Club. There's no one in lane 6 at the moment. Looks as though he is the sculler that's headed off the course. I'm unsure whether he does look like he's heading towards the transit lane. So unless he's coming over here all the way to lane 9, it would be to finish this event so he can go through to the repechage. I would think that would be something he'd want to do here, but just depends how his boat is, whether he's got a rigger issue or problem. So he's still on the course. He's moved over to lane 9. We'll keep an eye on that as they come down. So this is going to be a good finish here, Stuart.
I think so. We've got 5 different scullers going for 4 places in the semi-final. Who's going to be able to go through and take those spots? So out in front, we've got Blake Wyatt from the West Australian Rowing Club and Liam Taylor from Penrith Rowing Club as well, our 2 leading rowers. And certainly Blake Wyatt starting to put the foot down. He was under a little bit of pressure from Liam Taylor. And then close on the side closest to the grandstand, Cal Breyer from North Esk and William Gilbert from Wendouree Ballarat also battling. Bradley Moran from Penrith just a little bit. He's got a boat length. The win. Second place going to Liam Taylor from Penrith Rowing Club, William Gilbert from Wendouree Ballarat in third, Carl Breyer from North Esk in fourth. Coming through in fifth will be Ben Horsnell from Griffith University Surfers Paradise, with Bradley Moran from Penrith Rowing Club in sixth place. And then, as you mentioned there, Ben Roden Martin from Toowong Rowing Club. Now, the reason for going across to lane 9, if you get through to the finish line, you do get to go through. So if it is a boat issue as opposed to an injury, we'll get the opportunity to be able to row tomorrow in the repechage. So he'll be going through, still rowing down. He's just coming up towards the 1,500 metre mark now. So he'll certainly be putting in, making sure that he gets through to the finish to go through to the repechage. But our winning time for Blake Wyatt was a 7 minutes 28.86. 7 minutes, 28. Second place, Liam Taylor. He was 2 seconds back there with third, William Gilbert, 0.77 seconds back. And then Carl Breyer from North Esk in fourth place, another 0.4 of a second. So only about 3 seconds between first and fourth in that second heat of the men's under 23 single sculls. Moving on now to the third heat for the under-23 singles. Lane 2 from Melbourne University, Felix Oliver. Lane 3 from North Esk, Neil Douglas, coached by Trevor Barrett. Lane 4 from Sydney University, Hugo Hobbs, coached by Don McLaughlin. In Lane 5 from Toowong Rowing Club, Ben Stockwell. Morrish. In Lane 7 from Canberra Rowing Club, Cormac Hayes, coached by Dave Romano. And in Lane 8 from the University of Queensland, we have Noah Roseman, and he's coached by Michael Russell and Philip Bergignon. And it was Noah Roseman leading Cormac Hayes, Felix Oliver and Hugo Hobbs through the first 500 metres, as we see our scullers coming up towards the 1,000. Cormac Hayes from Canberra Rowing Club, formerly of Marist College down in Canberra. The Hayes family, all massive rowers. There's 3 boys that rowed at one point, Cormac, Dara and Garvin. I think we'll see Garvin Hayes rowing in some of the underage events for Marist College. So Noah Roseman leading through the 1,000 ahead of Felix Oliver and Cormac Hayes. Tom Hayes also coaches at Marist College. The father coaches at Marist College and also Canberra Rowing Club. And then the mum, whose name has temporarily eluded me, which is very, very bad, Colette Harkin. You'll see her out taking photos and does a wonderful job taking photos at ACT regattas.
Now you can just see here for those at the venue, Roden Martin's just coming up to the finish line. So he was decently placed in the first 500. The issue was between the 500 and the 1,000. So this is great to see that he is able to get himself to the line. So that means he can go through the repechage in this under-23 men's single scull. So heat number 3, we're through the 1,000 metre mark. So Roseman, Oliver, Hayes, Hobbs in those. He is not too far back. It's 1.42 seconds at the 1K. So you can keep an eye out. He is in lane 6, just having a look down the course now, counting across, and it looks as though it's just as tight as it was a few moments ago. So the 4 spots here are going to be eagerly sought after in this final heat of the under-23 men's single scull. Then it's open women's, open men's, and then Stuart's keen for lunch, aren't you?
I'm always keen for lunch. Got to make sure you've got enough. That's Felix Oliver from Melbourne University, just seeing him on the screen there in lane number 2. He was 4th at the New South Wales Championships in the under-21 single sculls. The man leading at the moment, though, is Noah Roseman from the University of Queensland through the 1500 metre mark, and he is a couple of boat lengths ahead of Felix Oliver from Melbourne University. See Cormac Hayes from Canberra Rowing Club in 3rd. And then it's going to be an interesting battle. There was about a canvas in that between Hugo Hobbs in 4th place and Jackson Morrish in 5th place. Remember, first 4 directly through to the semi-final. The final 4 going through to the repechage tomorrow. So that opportunity to have a day off and to just relax a little bit. 0.46 of a second between 4th and 5th place. So our 2 leaders are on either side of the course. Felix Oliver, furthest from the grandstand in lane number 2. In lane 8, Noah Roseman from the University of Queensland are our top 2. Noah Roseman leading, Felix Oliver sitting in 2nd. Cormac Hayes from Canberra Rowing Club in 3rd, and then Sydney University's Hugo Hobbs battling it out with Mercantile's Jackson Morrish for those middle 2 for that 4th spot. So they're in lanes 4 and 6. So it's really almost a boomerang shape as they come through with 250 metres to go. It's still Noah Roseman from the University of Queensland who has that lead. Noah, 3rd place at the Queensland Championships in the open men's singles scull, so certainly plenty of form for him in the singles throughout the year. So Noah Roseman from the University of Queensland leading Felix Oliver from Melbourne University, and just rating a little bit higher, making sure that he does get that good qualification position, go through and win the heat, and with making sure the pressure's on, just starting to slow it down now. A couple of little strokes left, and it will be a heat win for Noah Roseman from the University of Queensland. 2nd place to Felix Oliver from Melbourne University as he just cruises across the line. Cormac Hayes from Canberra Rowing Club will go through in 3rd place, and then we saw a big push from Jackson Morrish from Mercantile, ending up well ahead of Hugo Hobbs from Sydney University. So Jackson Morrish in 4th, and then we have Hugo Hobbs in 5th place. So that margin really extended out over that final 500 metres or so. North Esk's Neil Douglas will finish in 6th place, and then Ben Stockwell from Toowong Rowing Club going through in 7th. So our 4 through to the semi-final, Noah Roseman, Felix Oliver, Cormac Hayes and Jackson Morrish, and the winning time there for Noah Roseman, 7 minutes 18.90. As we move on now to the first heat for the Open Women's Single Scull. Now we do have a scratching. Amanda Bateman from Melbourne University has been scratched in lane number 1. In lane 2 we have the reigning national champion Tara Rigney from Sydney University and the National Training Centre. Lane 3 Molly McCausland from Sydney University, coached by Thomas Lowrick. In lane 4 from Team Singapore, Joan Poe. In lane 5 from Mercantile, Sophie Reiner. In lane 6 from Banks, Janice Kelderman, coached by Eleanor Crute. In lane 7 from Mercantile, Louise Carr, coached by Peter Somerville. And I don't think it's a huge surprise to see, Ben, that Tara Rigney is out in front. She is the reigning World Championship bronze medalist in the single scull. I think, well, she's won the interstate single sculls, the Nell Slater Cup, a couple of times for New South Wales, and also won this event in Perth at Champion Lakes.
Probably one of the favourites, as you would expect, for this event. So just the 2 races she's hoping for. Top 2 through to the A final, then the rest to the repechage. So it is a little bit more cutthroat in this open women's single scull, and Tara Rigney making sure of it with a massive advantage. Look at this.
It is a commanding lead, and it's a shame that we don't have Amanda Bateman in this race, because I think Amanda would have put Tara under a little bit more pressure. but 12 seconds through the first 1500. Sophie Reiner from Mercantile sitting in second place. So she was the Victorian Open Single Scull winner a couple of weeks ago at the Victorian State Championships. Aisha Rafi is sitting in third place ahead of Louise Carr, Joan Poe, Molly McCausland in sixth, and then back to Janice Kelderman in seventh place.
So it was a pretty big gap in that Open Women's Single in Victoria. What was about 15 seconds between Reiner and Louise Carr, and then Janice Kelderman finishing third in that one, about 11 seconds further back. So the form guide from that to this event here is pretty similar. We're getting a similar kind of result amongst the Victorians in this race, but what is clear is out the front, Tara Rigney doing it very, very nicely, and she can rest those legs after this one and get herself ready for the A final as she looks to defend the title.
Yeah, absolutely. And that time in the Victorian one as well, Sophie Reiner won that in a 9:13. So that was at Lake Wendouree.
Yeah, I saw some of the conditions were a bit interesting. And Richard Dorstein will be with us a little bit later. I did send him a message, said, what were the conditions like? He said, yeah, it was pretty tough. There was a bit of a crosswind from what I could see, but I know across the 3 days it is a pretty open course there at Ballarat.
So Tara Rigney from Sydney University in the National Training Centre, the reigning bronze medalist at the World Championships in the single scull, taking it very easy now as she comes towards the finish line. A massive Clearwater gap between herself and Sophie Reiner from Mercantile Rowing Club in second place. So that's our 1-2 to go through to the A final. A win confirmation there for Tara Rigney from Sydney University. Second place, with a few big strokes left to go, Sophie Reiner from Mercantile Rowing Club, and she's going to cross the line now, so she'll qualify for the A final, a day off. Third place will go to Asa Rafi from Sydney University. So she's gone through in third, so she'll go through to the repechage, as will lane number 7, Louise Carr from Mercantile, and then across to lane number 4, Joan Poe from Team Singapore in 5th place. Across to Molly McCausland from Sydney University in 6th, Joan Poe in 5th, and then Janice Kelderman from Banks Rowing Club in 7th place. Winning time there for Tara Rigney was 7 minutes 54.61, and then a gap of 12.65 seconds to Sophie Reiner, and then 4.73 seconds back to Asa Rafi. So, but Tara certainly doing it very easy towards the end there.
Well, speaking of comfortable victories, Stuart, Ray just reminded me about the Dolphins win, I think. What was he giving me, 38-0 or something yesterday? Well, let's move to Heat 2. Oh, no, he's going to remind us all week. We've got a scratching in this one. Holly Wardlaw in lane 4. So, no lane 4, Holly Wardlaw. In lane 2, Nantinda Kranjajam from Team Thailand. In lane 3, Uni of Queensland, Elizabeth Newell, coached by Philip Bergeron and Michael Russell. In lane 5, Uni of Queensland, and with the NTC, Rhea Thompson. In lane 6, Mercy from Tasmania, that's Ella Marshall, coached by David Tibbett. Team Vietnam in 7, Pham T. Hugh, coached by Joe Donnelly, and Catherine Kahn from ANU in lane 8, coached by Nigel Harding.
So our 2 leaders through the 1,000 metres, it was Rhea Thompson from the University of Queensland, and also the Australian rowing team, Team Vietnam's Pham Thi Huy in second place. So they're our top 2. 2.5 seconds back to Catherine Kahn from ANU, and then back then to the Thai sculler, Nantinda Kranjadam, and Elizabeth Newell from the University of Queensland, and Ella Marshall from Mersey Rowing Club. So just the... we just have the 6 rowers in, so the first 2 to go through to the A final. And out in front, Rhea Thompson from the University of Queensland, looking very comfortable indeed. So Rhea Thompson, part of the Australian rowing team. She's been named in the women's quad sculls. So they'll be looking to improve on the bronze medal performance from the Tokyo Olympics back in 2021. All the women's boats are qualified except for the lightweight double scull, so we're still waiting on a final decision as to whether or not that double scull will go through to the final qualification regatta. As things stand, we only have the men's double scull of David Bartolo and Marcus Delamata going through to the final qualification regatta. And just through the 1500 metres, Rhea Thompson still in the lead. Catherine Kahn from ANU has moved up into second place ahead of the Team Vietnam sculler Pham Thi Huy, coached by Joe Donnelly, and then back a little bit further then to our Thai sculler Nantinda Kranjam and Elizabeth Newell from the University of Queensland, Ella Marshall from Mersey Rowing Club. So if Catherine Kahn can hold on to second place, I know she'll be very stoked, as will her coach Nigel Harding.
Yeah, well, just having a look at the times, just at the 1500 metre, probably hard to look too much into those because Tara Rigney had such a decent lead. This one a little bit tighter for Rhea Thompson, but you would expect that she would be able to get herself through. It could get a little tight here between her, Pham Thi Huy from Team Vietnam, and Catherine Kahn from ANU here, Stuart, down from your neck of the woods in the capital of Australia. So well, maybe she's taken the advantage. Are my eyes deceiving me? It's pretty tight between the top two.
It's tight between the top two, but we can really see there Rhea Thompson just easing off a little bit at the moment. Catherine making sure that she's got that pressure on. She rode through Pham Thi Huy and in the third 500 metres to get through into that second place. I know, chatting to Nigel earlier on today, that they were thinking that this was a really good shot for Catherine to make it straight through to the A final, and she is sitting quite comfortably there at the moment. We've got over in lane number one as well, the Team Thailand sculler Nantinda Kranjam sitting possibly in third place. Is she able to row through the Team Vietnam sculler? But it's great to see Team Singapore, Team Thailand and Team Vietnam all making it down here for the 2024 Australian Rowing Championships. Rhea Thompson from the University of Queensland takes the heat win. Second place to Catherine Kahn from ANU. They'll both qualify for the A final of the women's open single scull. Third place will go to the Team Vietnam sculler Pham Thi Huy. Then fourth through to the Team Thailand sculler Nantinda Kranjam, and then Elizabeth Newell from the University of Queensland in fifth place. Ella Marshall from Mersey Rowing Club in sixth. So winning time there for Rhea Thompson, 7 minutes 59.74 and a winning margin of 3.39 seconds back to Catherine Kahn, and then 9.07 seconds back to third place. Just a comparison there, Tara Rigney did it in the 7:54, so a little bit quicker for Tara, but certainly you could see there Rhea Thompson was saving her legs towards the end of that particular heat.
So here we go. It is open men's single scull time. We've got 3 heats in this event, the last 3 before the semi-final. In lane 1 from Team Thailand, Premanut Wattatanusith. In lane 2 from ANU and also the ACT high performance program, that's Caleb Antill, coached by David Framano. In lane 3, Tamar's William Birchmore. In lane 4, ANU, also with the ACT, is Hamish Harding, coached by David Framano as well. In lane 5, Buckingham's Joseph Wilson, coached by Jacob Crow. Commercials, Isaac Cluley, coached by Charles Green. In 6, Xavier Hall Sullivan. In 7, from Corio Bay, coached by Lee Hall Sullivan. And David Bartolot in 8 from Sydney University. So we have got a very, very tasty field in this first heat of the open men's single scull.
It's a very good field. I was just thinking that we saw David Bartolo winning at the New South Wales Championships ahead of Caleb Antill, who was sitting in second place, and then back to Marcus Delamata in third. So we're seeing Caleb up against David Bartolo again, and then a couple of up-and-comers. You know, Hamish Harding has been amongst the lightweights, but he is now moving up into the open weights and doing quite well. I think Hamish may just be ahead of Caleb now through that 1500 metre mark, and in fact he is. So it's Bartolo, Harding, Anthill.
He was giving that a rip too. David Bartolo absolutely giving it a rip through that 1,000 metres.
He is absolutely flying at the moment. So it's 7 seconds between David Bartolo and Hamish Harding, and they're back a little bit further, a couple of seconds to Caleb Anthill. So David Bartolo is, we know that David Bartolo is going with Marcus Delamata to the final qualification regatta in the men's double scull. The opportunity, I feel, is there. We know that the men's quad, there's going to be a quad over at the World Cup 1 in Varese. And then if you do really well there, do they potentially then send the quad to the final qualification regatta?
It's
You're already over in Europe.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see. And there are, and as you said, so much up for grabs coming up over the coming months, especially on the men's side of things. So David Bartolo, look at this. Very big advantage. It's very similar to that first heat in the women's single scull where Tara Rigney had a big advantage. But remembering top 4 go to the semi-final, so it's a little bit of a longer event, this one, in the open men's single scull.
Yeah, so David Bartolo looking comfortable out in front. Hamish Harding sitting in second place and leading Caleb Anthill, who's not, well, you can see Hamish still putting a lot into it. It's a very distinctive rowing style that Hamish has ahead of Caleb, and you just see there he's opened up a little bit of a gap over Caleb, and that's probably about the first time that I think Hamish will have beaten Caleb in a single scull race. So it's a big result for for Hamish Harding. It's going to be a win though for David Bartolo. He does it and does it comfortably. He'll go through in first place in the Heat 1 of the Open Men's Single Scull. Hamish Harding from ANU in second. Caleb Anthill will go through just in third, half a boat length ahead of Joseph Wilson from Buckingham Rowing Club down in Tasmania. So there are 1, 2, 3 and 4 straight through to the semi-finals. Going through in fifth place will be Xavier Hall-Sullivan from Corio Bay, so a nice little result for him. He'll go through to the repechage, as will Premanot Watanasith from Team Thailand. And then back a little bit further, we have William Birchmore from Tamar Rowing Club in 7th, and then Commercial's Isaac Cluley in 8th place. So David Bartolo from Sydney University with the heat win, 2nd place to Hamish Harding, 3rd to Caleb Anthill, and 4th to Joseph Wilson. Those 4 scullers going through to the semi-finals, with the rest going through to the repechage. Winning time for David Bartolo of 7 minutes 02.84 seconds, with a gap of 7 seconds back to Hamish Harding and just under 6 seconds back to Caleb Anthill.
So Heat 2 on the water. We have got another wonderful field in this one. First 4 to the semi-final. Jackson Free, coached by Marcus Free from Griffith Uni Surfers Paradise. Sam Green from UTS, coached by Sam Fennessy and Alexandra Wenyon in 2. We've got Alexander Wood scratched in lane 3. We've got Joel Kane from Melbourne Uni in 4. Jack Barrett in lane 5 from North Esk. Isaac Hamilton, coached by Roland Warren. Mia Williams, Jonathan Jansk from Uni of WA in 6. Campbell Watts from Sydney Uni in 7. Marcus Delamata from Sydney Uni in 8, coached by Thomas Loriche. So that's the field here. Penultimate race in this first session of the Australian Rowing Championships for 2024, and you can see that it is very, very tight. Isaac Hamilton is out the back, but outside of him you can see it's about 3 seconds is the biggest gap there through the opening 1,000 metres. As you expect in a single, probably to be tight for this part of the race. This is this crucial part of the race, isn't it, Stuart? The third 500, who makes their move and gives themselves a platform to lock down a top 4 spot for the semi-final.
Absolutely, and it's another spicy field in this one too. I mean, we've got Campbell Watts, who's represented Australia a number of times. Marcus Delamata, as we mentioned, in that double scull for the final qualification regatta. He's someone that has absolutely improved leaps and bounds over the last 12 months. Made an Australian team in the coastal rowing scene, and he's taken that coastal rowing form into the flat water and finished 3rd at. And then Jackson Free, who is the reigning Queensland champion as well. So certainly plenty of talent.
You've got the Victorian single results as well there, haven't you, on your laptop of wisdom. I'm pretty sure Joel Kane, he finished 2nd to James Meads, who's coming up in the next event. Is that right? Third place. Nick Ziggiter from Banks got second. So, yeah, some James Meads is coming up in the race after. So, the Victorian bronze medalist out there in lane 4, he's in 4th place at the moment. Only a second and a half though to Jack Barrett from North Est, coached by Trevor Barrett. So here we go, last 500. Get excited. It's a good finish here in the second heat of the Open men's single.
Yeah, not a lot to pick between our leading scullers. So Campbell Watts and Marcus Delamata, both from Sydney University. They're on the lanes closest to the grandstand, closest to the cameras for those that are watching here on the live stream, and a big shout out to everyone who's following around Australia and around the world. Over on the far side, Jackson Free from Griffith University Surfers Paradise. He is the reigning Queensland champion, and he'll certainly be looking to break up the New South Wales hegemony. I think I've completely mispronounced that, but Jackson Free will be rowing for Queensland in the Interstate and the President's Cup on Sunday as well. We'll keep talking about those ones as we go through the regatta. Campbell Watts leading Marcus Delamata, but it's not by much. It's a big push coming here from Marcus Delamata, and a big push coming from Jackson Free as well over in lane number 1. It's going to be a spicy little finish here, because I don't think the rate of striking. Marcus Delamata hasn't quite upped it quite as high, but he's still getting plenty of power in. It's Sydney University. Sydney University. Who's going to take the heat win? It's Delamata by a bow ball. Delamata just over Campbell Watts, taking the heat win in the Open men's single scull, heat number 2. Jackson Free from Griffith University Surfers Paradise in 3rd. 4th will be lane number 4, appropriately enough, Joel Kane from Melbourne University. Coming through in 5th will be UTS Haberfield's Sam Green. He'll go through to the repechage, as will Jack Barrett from North Est Rowing Club, and Isaac Hamilton from the University of Western Australia going through in 7th place. Really great finish there from Marcus Delamata, and we just see on the screen there, it's not showing up the time for Campbell Watts, but certainly Marcus Delamata with the win, Campbell Watts in 2nd place, and Jackson Free in 3rd. A winning time for Marcus Delamata of 7 minutes 2.99.
Yeah, if you're a Campbell Watts fan, yes, he definitely was in the top 2 there, so he will be going through to the semi-final. Alrighty, here we go. Final heat here in the Open men's single scull, and we have Stephen Cox from Sydney Rowing Club in lane 1, coached by Franz Imfeld. James Meads, the Victorian. Kyle Fram from Easter Rowing Club out of Singapore in 3. Marcel Brown in 4 from Mercy, coached by Lars Brown. Hamish Parry from Toowong Rowing Club in 5, coached by Mark Game and Claire Raven. Dion Burtwhistle from North Est Rowing Club, coached by Trevor Barrett. Nguyen Van Heuve, coached by Joe Donnelly from Team Vietnam. And Alexander Jeremijenko, coached by Stephen Pozzi from Commercial in lane 8. So a very intriguing field. We've got some younger rowers. We've got Dion Burtwhistle as well, former Australian lightweight rower. He's part of the Tasmanian Penrith Cup crew, I'm pretty sure, as well. So this is a field with some serious substance to it, and Stephen Cox from Sydney just ahead of the Team Vietnam sculler in 2nd. James, Victorian state champion. Now, I don't know whether that's just because it's the 1,000. Concerned about where he is as long as he's in the top 4.
Yeah, it looks to be a very a race in 2. So our first 4, Cox, Van Hue, Fram and Meads, only about 4 seconds between those 4. And then back a little bit further, Jeremijenko, Burtwhistle, Parry and Brown. The sort of gap starts to open up a little bit there. So our first 4 looking quite comfortable at the moment. Heat number 3, the Open men's single sculls. A reminder that after this event, we do have a bit of a gap in the program. We have our next race after this starting at 2 p.m. with the lightweight single sculls. So we'll kick it off with the women's under 21 lightweight single sculls before going on to the men's and women's under 23 lightweight single sculls. So there is a bit of a gap in the program. Day one of the Australian Rowing Championships. And again, it's so hard to believe that we're back here at Sydney and it's been 5 years.
I know, it's staggering, isn't it? Because that was before COVID, wasn't it? Because 2020 was meant to be here.
2020 was meant to be here, 2021 was meant to be here, and we haven't quite had either of them. And this is how long ago it was. I'd never been in a rowing boat the last time that the Australian Rowing Championships were held here.
5 years, it's crazy, isn't it?
Stephen Cox from Sydney Rowing Club in front at the 1500 metre mark. Team Vietnam's Nguyen Van Hue in second place, and then less than a second back to Kyle Fram from Easter Rowing Club in Singapore. James Meads, another second back in fourth. Alexander Jeremijenko from Commercial Rowing Club in fifth. Dion Birtwhistle from North Esk in sixth. And then back a little bit further again to Hamish Parry from Toowong Rowing Club in seventh place. And then I think we've still got one more to go from there. Marcel Brown from Mersey Rowing Club in eighth place.
Oh, wow.
Now,
there's an issue here. Is that in lane 4, is it?
I think it might be Kyle Fram from Easter Rowing.
Yeah, it
Rowing
is
Club.
lane 3. Yep.
So he was sitting comfortably in the top 4. We've had a capsize, so he has gone in. He will need to get back in the boat to go down to the end to make it through to the repechage, but instead of going straight through to the semi-final, he is now into the repechage, which means that our sculler Alex Jeremijenko from Commercial Rowing Club will go through to the semi-final as things stand. Out in front, Stephen Cox from Sydney Rowing Club, coached by Fran Zimfield. He's leading and probably a couple of boat lengths ahead of Team Vietnam's Nguyen Van Hue in second place, and then James Meads from Banks Rowing Club in third. So it'll be a win for Stephen Cox from Sydney Rowing Club, second to Nguyen Van Hue from Team Vietnam, third will go to James Meads from Banks Rowing Club, and then our final qualifier for the semi-final in the Open Men's Single Scull will be Alex Jeremijenko from Commercial Rowing Club, coached by Stephen Pottsy. And again, it's that whole thing, isn't it? It's you do need to keep pushing to try and sit and take advantage if something like this does happen. Alex Jeremijenko confirmed going through in fourth place and going through to the semi-final of the Open Men's Single Sculls. Fifth place, we've got looks to be North Esk there in lane number 6, Dion Birtwhistle finishing in fifth. And then coming through in sixth will be Hamish Parry from Toowong Rowing Club, and then Marcel Brown from North Esk. And then it does look as though they're just getting Kyle Fram from Easter Rowing Club back into the boat. So Marcel Brown coming up towards the line, and then Kyle Fram from Easter Rowing Club still to come. So an unfortunate capsize there for the Singaporean rower. But our winner for heat number 3 of the Open Men's Single Scull was Stephen Cox from Sydney Rowing Club, and he's gone through in a time of 7 minutes 12.82, so a slightly slower heat than our other two. Nguyen Van Hue from Team Vietnam, 2.41 seconds back in second place, and then James Mead from Banks Rowing Club in third place. Alex Jeremijenko from Commercial qualifying for the semi-finals of the Open Men's Single Scull. So that has been the first session on the first day of the 2024 Australian Rowing Championships. Our next race will be at 2 p.m. for the first heat of the lightweight women's under 21 single sculls. We'll catch you then. Hancock Prospecting are the proud principal partners of Rowing Australia and the Australian rowing team, and wish all competitors and athletes a successful regatta. Don't forget to check out our traders and boat builders in the boat park to service your boats and provide spare parts. We have Sykes, Croker Oars, Wintec, RowFit, Row Gear and Perfect Balance Rowing. Check out the traders in our regatta village with a range of products and services on offer. We've got you covered from head to toe with high-definition sports lenses from Bolly, rowing jewellery from Sport Republic, rowing apparel from 776BC, and innovative rowing shoes from Bont Rowing. Plus, don't forget to pick up your official merchandise from the regatta shop. There are refreshments available thanks to Bonsoy, Row Gear has you covered with rowing accessories, Wexworks has LED lights and safety vests for sale. Pontoon Sports and Rival Kit have custom apparel available. Check out our health and wellness traders, Elements Float Health Spa for all of your recovery needs, and Gotcha for Life, a foundation dedicated to building a mentally fit future, who are here raising money with a 24-hour row. At this year's Australian Rowing Championships, we will once again be having a Learn and Load session hosted by Olympic silver medalist and 776BC co-founder Cameron Mackenzie McHarg. Register for the Learn and Carbo Load session on Wednesday, 20 March from 5:30 till 7 p.m, where you can learn from Australia's top performance staff and athletes while you load with a pasta dinner. This will be a great opportunity for all kids, coaches and parents involved with rowing to hear firsthand how they can excel with their rowing career and maybe one day become one of our NTC athletes as well. This will also be a great opportunity to ask top performance staff and athletes any questions you may have. Spaces are limited, so visit Join us for an inspiring Women in Sport breakfast on Thursday, 21 March from 8 till 9:30am at the Australian Rowing Championships, where we celebrate the incredible achievements of women in sport. This event is an opportunity to hear from some of the most inspiring, driven and passionate women in the rowing industry, share experiences and learn from each other. Guest speakers include Sarah Cook, CEO of Rowing Australia and Olympian, Heather Garrick, former Matilda and CEO of Gameface Pro, Nikki Ayres, Australian Paralympic rower and world champion, Susie Ballo, Olympic and Commonwealth gold medalist in shooting, and Alexandra Viney, Australian Paralympic rower. These trailblazers will share their inspirational journeys and challenges in the world of sports. You'll also have the chance to network with other women in the rowing sport industry, enjoy a delicious breakfast, and leave feeling motivated and empowered. Don't miss this chance to be a part of a community that supports and uplifts women in sport. For more information and to register for this free event, visit arc.rowingaustralia.com.au. The 2024 Australian Rowing Championships is proudly supported by the New South Wales Government's Tourism and Major Events Agency Destination New South Wales and the City of Penrith. Thank you to our government partners for making this event possible.
Welcome to Sydney. Upbeat, downbeat. Feel its heartbeat. Open spaces. Open arms. Open all night. Come feel it all. And feel